Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast. Well, I'm inside a coffee shop today, and I'm going to be describing what I can see from the window. So it's a very dark day here. The sky is overcast. The day is incredibly blustery. And blustery means that there's wind and rain blowing in your face at different times. The sun has just appeared, which gives a promise of a brighter day. But to be honest with you, the wet road is reflected with the grey sky. The buildings are incredibly grey, the cars are grey, the people are wearing grey clothes. So it's a little bit dark, and at a glance it would look a little bit depressing. Now, today's phrase is the life of Reilly. The life of Reilly. Now, Reilly is an Irish name. It's an Irish surname. And I'm going to be explaining to you what this phrase means. The life of Reilly is when we perceive that another person has a very nice life compared to ours. Let me just give you some examples. Now, there won't be a transcript today because I'm outside, but for example, we could say, well, children these days, they have the life of Reilly. Or we could say, look at that actor, or we could generalize, talking about all actors. They're rich and famous. I guess they have the life of Reilly. It's when we perceive or imagine that someone has a nicer life than we have. It's something that your mother would say to you, oh, lying there in bed at this time of the day, you really have the life of Reilly. My little cat, he has the life of Reilly. All he has to do is to meow, the sound of the cats, and immediately somebody will come running to open the door for him or to give him food. So that's the life of Reilly. Now, none of us know where this comes from. We don't know who Reilly was. It's one of these things lost in history. A few people have guessed over the years that maybe Reilly was an aristocrat from the 18th century. It's an Irish name, so there's a chance that it may have been someone very rich from Ireland. Also, when we think of the life of Reilly, there was a very famous radio show in the 1940s, which you can probably find on YouTube, all about the life of someone called Chester Reilly, who seemed to enjoy life very much. But the phrase was around long before the radio show was. The life of Reilly. Now, I'm just watching some people here who would appear to have the life of Reilly, driving a very big car in the car park of this coffee shop that I'm sitting in. We use it often to make sweeping generalizations. Some people here believe that refugees or immigrants have the life of Reilly because they're handed benefits. That's not true. What may be true, though, is that British people generally do receive a lot of state benefits, especially in certain areas. And from personal experience, I would say, yeah, they really do have the life of Reilly, because if they have any personal problems, they just look to the government to fix them. They'll receive money or loans just for being sick. And that, for me, seems to be the life of Reilly. We don't often use it in a way to talk about lives that we want, but we use it to describe other people. The life of Reilly. It would be very interesting to find out who Reilly was, but I don't think now it's possible to know anything about that. The life of Reilly. Reilly is a very old Irish name, and you might also hear people making very similar remarks or similar idioms with Irish words. I don't quite know why that is. I think it's because, as you know, Irish people have traveled everywhere across the world. So perhaps they brought some of these phrases with them. Anyway, speaking about people who have the life of Reilly, I think it's important to note that it's a generalization which usually isn't true. The life of Reilly. Oh, look at that person. They have the life of Reilly. Look at that woman. She has the life of Reilly. It's very common to say this, and if you haven't heard it already, I would be very surprised. Some people think a royal family have the life of Reilly, but I don't think they have. And I think usually when we make these kind of generalizations, we're very, very wrong. One movie which people think of is Mary Poppins. And in that movie, it certainly looked like all the characters had the life of Reilly. Two kids being looked after by an all-singing, all-dancing housekeeper. It was very interesting. It was kind of like a joyful version of Nanny McPhee, wasn't it? Mary Poppins was very, very famous, and many people thought that they did indeed have the life of Reilly. That was what was being put forward, a kind of fun life without any problems. Speaking of Mary Poppins, however, in our news today here in the UK, somebody somewhere who has control of movies has decided that perhaps it should have an adult warning attached to it. You know that movies are very often given ratings by the government. For example, if a movie is U, it means universal. Everyone can watch it. If the movie maybe has some scenes not suitable for children, like violence, then it has, at the beginning, you can see a marker that says PG, parental guidance. Well, somebody somewhere with power has decided that Mary Poppins perhaps isn't so suitable for children after all. Because during one of the scenes, somebody somewhere makes a remark which these days is considered racist. Now, I'm not allowed to tell you what that remark is. I did see it, but to be honest with you, I didn't really think it had a meaning. It's only under close scrutiny and examination that they've decided that the movie Mary Poppins should have a warning attached to it that it contains racism. So there we are. It seems that that movie, even though they were having the life of Reilly, is now classed as perhaps a little bit dangerous in today's politically correct culture. So the movie is moving from U, universal, to PG, which is with parental guidance. I know that sometimes when we watch TV shows, they have scenes edited, especially older ones. And Mary Poppins probably will be no exception in the future if it has these warnings on there now. Who knows what our movies and TV will look like in the future. I loved Mary Poppins. It was made in the 1960s and starred Julie Andrews, and I'd be very sorry if it was banned completely. If it's just one small part of the movie, they might just remove that particular scene. But at the moment, all they're doing is reclassifying it from U up to PG, which means it might not be as available as it was for children. Well, let's get back to this coffee shop that I'm sitting in. The rain has now gone off. There's cars whizzing by, and I'm also next to the railway, and I can see the trains going past, which is a testament to this area, which used to be heavily industrial. All of the old factories have been demolished, and they built this supermarket park right on top of it, as they often do in working areas of the UK. It looks a little bit strange because all of the old Victorian walls are still there, these very hard, well-built walls which were designed to last. But on the other hand, the shops that they've built look like they are simply fabricated. I'm not sure they would survive in a very big storm, and they look like they could be dismantled at any time if the shop decides to move. There's signs all around this area saying the number 5. The signs which show the number 5 are circular, white, and have a red ring around them, and that's to tell the motorists that they can only drive at 5 miles per hour. But there doesn't appear to be any CCTV cameras around here, which is kind of unusual. So because of that, there are cars which are still speeding, and it might be a little bit dangerous. There's some lovely pine trees, I think, to my left-hand side, and directly ahead of me I can see some kind of mobile transmitter mast, which is over by the back of the railway line. So there's plenty of things to see here. There's also a bike shop across the road, and there's other coffee shops, and I can see that the road is actually very busy outside, and the car park is becoming increasingly full. And that's it from me today. I hope you've enjoyed this little look out the window from the coffee shop, and also today's phrase, the life of Reilly. So if you know someone and you think they're having the life of Reilly because they don't have to work so much or study, or maybe they're getting the money from a different source, which is usually related to how we use this phrase, that they're not working for it, that they're well looked after, maybe it's not quite like that. Although it is true, our pets almost certainly have the life of Reilly. There we are. I hope you've enjoyed this. Let's talk again soon. See you. Bye.